There's some peoples up in here. Sorry about the fake one earlier. What's up, Chris? Joe, Queenie, Gibbs, how everybody doing? How's everybody this evening?
What up, what up?
What up, what up? What's going on?
I was just on the phone with RC84 Film. She just called just to chat, and all of a sudden I get a notification that we got an email for the stream, and I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden it says, just went live. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So,
Did the fake one earlier, messing around with my camera and hooking the Cricut up to the computer, because my dude was convincing me that you can do a lot more, and man,
right?
that was just a click of the button to fold your name, to twist your name around the image.
Did you already post the link?
No. I had.
Yeah, no, I don't see it in there.
Is that the right one? That might not be the right one. Yeah, that's the right one.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so we got
Kurtz, what's going on? RC Show Off, Joe G.U.R.U. I did send you the email, Keith. I definitely sent you the email.
Yeah.
Beanfield.
Hey, Queenie. John Martin, Kevin Gibbs.
And it's right there as well.
GNCRC. RC84 Films. EWT 181. If somebody wants to join in, just click on the link. Come on in. Curtis D, what's up?
I just sent it again.
Oh, I'm sorry, Coach D.
What's going on, Coach D? I just sent it again, Keith. GWT, what's going on? Everybody hit that thumbs up, please. Yes. Yeah, I wanted to ask you a couple questions about crawling.
Me?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Like the difference in the turn.
Crawling and Banter?
Yeah, the turn.
Motor turns?
Yes, motor turns.
What's up?
What up, Chris?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing?
All right. How you
Well,
feel?
what you could do is figure normal for crawling, everybody uses anywhere from a 27 turn to a 35 turn on the average. So you have your slow crawlability, your low end crawl, and you can also get your wheel speed when you need it. But that also depends on your gearing as far as your pinion gear and your spur gear. If you stay with the stock pinion gear, stock spur gear, 27 turn is kind of like middle of the road. You get the best of both worlds. Motor will stay nice and cool. ESC will stay cool. You go to a 21 turn, your motor can start getting a little warm along with your ESC. 35 turn is always cold. It just, the way that it just so happens to work with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the stock.
But then you also have to look at, you also have to look at when you buy your motor, can it, can you use 3S on it? Because there's some motors that are only 2S capable, and then there's some motors that you can put 3S to them, even though the ESC can go up to 4S. You can't go 4S on it. You can only do 3. Brushless motors, it's limited there too. A lot of them are 3 to 4S max. But a lot of guys like that 4S for the wheel speed and just being able to not have to worry about changing a battery in the middle of a comp.
And where does 45 and higher come in? Like 45, 55 turn? Is that comp?
No, that's more for something that has a 2-speed transmission. So you have your first gear is going to be geared real low, and then once you get into your second gear, you'll get a lot more speed out of it.
Yeah.
Like my cross RCs come with the 2-speed, my HC6, my PG4A, my PG4L. They have a 2-speed in them, and they all come with a 45 turn.
Yeah.
All my other cross trucks are single speed, and they're all stock 35 turn. But just the way that they're geared, they have a 4-to-1 gear reduction from the factory.
Yeah, I was gonna say on my SCX10 too, I got a 25 turn, I believe, in it with stock gearing. It does pretty decent.
Yeah, you can go down to a 27 turn on a factory built motor, non-rebuildable, and not have to worry about it. I've got a Racing Just Climb motor. It's a 5-pole 13 turn, which is equivalent to a 27 turn, but you can only run 2S on it.
Yeah, that's what I do is run 2S.
And where does the poles come in? What is the meaning of that?
The difference between a 5-pole and a 3-pole brush motor is how smooth the startup is and how low speed control is. It's a lot smoother, a lot slower on your startup versus a 3-pole, which can be jittery and want to jump real quick, like, give you a little lunge.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of guys are going to the 5-pole, and you can get 5-pole brushed motors now for as little as $20.
Yeah, that's what I have in my comp crawler is the Reedy 16 turn or 16. Yeah, 16.
Right.
16 turn 5-pole. Does pretty good. I like it.
Sean, if you're busy, or I'm sorry, if you're not busy, you want to jump in, link should be in the chat.
Yeah, I sent it to Keith. Hey, what's up, CK? I sent Keith an email again, He was trying to get in. I guess I got the right one for him. The bean field.
Yeah, Chris and John jumped in off of that link. It works good.
Yeah, so I got off to it.
I sent Steve an email again.
There he is.
I got it, Guru.
Okay. I guess I got the right one for him.
Yeah.
We got room for one more if somebody wants to jump in. Yeah, Chris and John jumped in off of that link. It works good.
Hopefully this won't screw up if I plug my headphones in.
Yeah, you're going to have to turn your YouTube off or turn it down.
I'll shut it off. Yeah. Here we go.
Radioactive Scale RC, what's going on?
Radioactive, what's going on?
Sorry about that feedback, guys.
Oh, that's cool, brother.
No worries.
Good.
Oh, good.
So, competition-wise, and this panel can go, you know what I'm saying, this can go across the panel. Competition-wise, what are y'all thoughts on the best turn per class? You get what I'm saying? Like a 27 turn for class 1 or a 35 turn for class 1 and not class 2.
Class 1 basically is just like class 2, just a smaller tire and less ground clearance, so you can stay 27 to 35, just like class 2. Class 3, that's up to you if you want to stay brushed or go brushless, because class 3 gets really, really hard. So you'll need a lot of wheel speed. You'll need,
My capsule class 2.
right. You'll need the wheel speed. You'll need 4-wheel steer. You'll need winching. You know, it's basically an unlimited class to Capras, the R1s, you know, basic, you know, open wheel tube chassis, doesn't matter what you build.
Yeah, I don't do any competitions, but I bet you guys I bet you there's a bunch around Austin, but I just don't do any.
Chris, not much into the competitions.
Who's that?
Yeah, Chris.
What?
Oh, Chris got a class 1 truck or class
I
2.
was asking, are you into comping?
I got a comp rig, but I don't really do too much comps. I just like to drive for the hell of it.
Yeah, that's basically why I am. I just drive for the hell of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pay my dues to be in it, but I just don't worry. I don't worry about scoring myself or anything. I just like to get out and travel to different places and just run for the hell of it.
Right. Okay.
And Sean's ears must have been burning because I was just about to mention that Sean used to comp but doesn't care for it anymore because they're full of prima donnas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all aspects of the hobby are filled with the prima donnas. What's going on, Bubble? Because you figure all of them. Racing, it was a lot of prima donnas. And
Yeah, people don't.
That wanted to race but didn't want a corner marshal. Like, that was prima donnas to me. Because, I mean, that's part of
being there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that to me would be equivalent to hitting the gate and not counting it. Type of, you
Right.
know, in a self-score situation.
Off RC subject, I used to play pool in a pool league, and you want to talk about prima donnas there, boy. Woo!
Yeah, they're
Crazy.
very well. would you say not go to the scale nationals and you won't? Oh, okay. Uh,
Yes,
there's one more
Sean
spot.
said, not like some of these guys go to the scale nationals and you won't believe what kind of prima donnas they are. Yeah, those guys they're all about it. They're spit shining their rigs. They're, don't look at it, don't touch it, stay away from it.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
don't
what I
tell
would
me
want
what you
to-
got in it or anything like that, right?
Yeah,
You
no.
know that when
Uh-oh.
driving in cold weather, your shocks freeze.
That's getting sent.
Oh, Sean, so I got the box ready. It's going out. It's got to go out Friday. Post office is closed still Friday because of the weather.
Yeah, the schools closed down on me.
Yeah, so this is leaving here Friday afternoon. We're shut down Friday, so I'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, we had snow Saturday for only a few hours.
Yeah.
I think, well, BJT, I think it's like that because in every situation I've come across a couple prima donnas. It didn't matter whether I was bashing. You got somebody that was uptight. If it's a bunch of cars on there, you're going to crash into one another. There's no need to be extra about it. And a lot of times people have RPM products, so that's going to get replaced anyway for free.
Right. And when I was racing, when it's time for you to go out and marshal after you're done racing, you just go back to the pit, set your car down, don't touch anything, go right to the track and marshal.
I get
Well,
my
these
money.
guys would sit there, they would actually cover their whole table with a blanket, so you can't see what they've got. So basically, they're hiding something, or just don't want anyone to see that they've got a lot of money in their cars and can't drive it for shit.
Yeah.
Basically, they think that you're going to go over there and nitpick their car. I could care less personally what anybody has in their car, and it's to me it just turned into the fight of the wallet, and it's just not worth it. RC show off. I used to race Mini T, and a lot of people get mad when you crash, or if they pull over and they're messing with their radio trying to adjust a setting, and especially when you run brushless and you come running up on them and hit them because you don't see them.
Right.
Instead of pulling out of the way, they stay in the middle of the lane. Yeah, when you have 1,000 plus in your Mini T and somebody's only got a couple hundred, it's you're trying to compare apples to oranges on a track that you shouldn't even be in that race with it.
And I agree with you, BJ.
Exactly. It's supposed to be fun. And the level of competition got to the point where not only are you competing for fun, but now you're turning into a competition of who's got the best, who's got the fastest. I outran you. You don't like it. Too bad. Blah, blah. Everybody gets butt hurt real quick. And there's too many calibers of racers. Me, I like to club race. I could care less if I ever had a sponsorship. And, you could be a club racer your whole life, have a pro come over and whoop on a pro. It's all in how you drive your stuff and how your stuff is set up.
True.
The worst part is sometimes they'll come over and like trying to figure out what you have that's different than their car. My car, heck, if you come over to my car, I'll tell you even what I have for gearing. I don't care.
Right. I was just about to ask you, in racing, you come across the same situations or what, John?
Oh, there's some guys that are so like that's just saying they're hiding something. You know?
Right.
Secret.
Well, like I said, there's weeks where my car is on rails. There's other weeks where it's an absolute pile of POS. You know, and it's just the way the track condition is that particular moment. But I laugh at the guys because I know how my car reacts. It'll be crap at the beginning and it'll show up and be there in the main. So I don't work on it the whole day. There might be a simple little spring adjustment or something that I might make to it. But other than that, these guys are changing tires and pulling pinions and changing gearing. And it's like, why? Set it up and it'll be there.
Yeah.
They're just assholes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Dennis took off. I didn't want to ask him a question, but
No, I didn't go anywhere. I'm still here.
Oh,
Keith.
do you have on your teams? Do you have like when we played pool, we had 2, 3s, and 4s. You know, and the 4s were really good. And do you have teams like that? Like a beginner's not going to race with a guy that has been racing for years and years, or do they just go all out and race?
No, we would set it up according to your experience.
Yeah. Okay.
If you're new into it and you don't have a lot of money into it, you get into the novice race.
Let's say you run novice.
Then if you're sinking a lot of money into your car and you can prove that you can drive and you consistently qualify, you know,
Not me.
like in the top 5,
Yeah.
and you're qualifying for the A main and not a B main, then you're getting put in with the better guys. You know, we don't just stick everybody in one class because it's not fair to everybody else that can actually drive.
Pool, they used
Don't
to,
mind
like,
my arm.
I
I'm
never
trying to
got
put
higher
something
than
up there
a
to block
3,
this light.
and they would. It was all about the math. You'd have to have so many points. So sometimes I'd have to play a 7 or a 5. You know.
Like how we do
I get
it at our track is it's all based the first round is all based by who signs up when.
Okay.
Then after the first round, we do a reseed. So that'll move people around where the fast guys will get all put together and the slower guys will get all put together.
Right.
Well, when I raced, it was novice, and you had what was it? What's the next one? Advanced or
Intermediate, maybe.
no,
Well, we had novice, sportsman, super sportsman, and pro.
sportsman and pro. And I stayed strictly novice because sometimes I get turned around and wind up going the wrong way on the track. But
as long as you don't hit reverse, I have no problem with you.
I had the XL5, so I would put it in race mode, so it didn't have to reverse on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how
See, we weren't allowed to touch reverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just put it in race mode. Everybody was running XL5s at the time. LiPo had just came into effect.
Yeah.
Like I said, we got a stock battery size, and then like I said, we do because we got different class of vehicles too.
Yeah.
But we have, like I said, the ones that I run the most are the Mud Bosses. I got 2 of them. I got a 12 turn and I got a 13.5. So that's 2 different classes.
Right.
And
like I said, we do a future stars, which is usually the kids. And then there's a novice sometimes. Or sometimes a novice, if there isn't a bunch of novices, they'll race with the future stars. And then sometimes they'll jump over, there might not even be the future stars. They'll be with the regular racing.
Now you said Mud Boss earlier. What would be the other classes?
Street stock, bomber, sprint, late model.
And these all derived from a slash, or do they use other?
No, we got like I said, mainly the mud bosses are all slashes. The bombers are 3/4 of us are slashes. As soon as it gets into the street stocks, that's mainly your low C's and your associated chassis, your buggy chassis.
Okay.
And then the late models, they can be anything. They can be a slash, they can be carbon fiber chassis, they can be whatever.
What's the purpose of the eye shape of the bodies?
Downforce.
Oh, okay.
Downforce and cornering.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when you see a lot of the weight on the left side, because they do a lot of oval racing, if your body sits kind of with the right side up, that's all weight transfer.
Yep. Like I said, I can go grab one of my mud bosses. You'll see one tire is way up like this, and that's my inside. That's my inside tire.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm running the more limiter.
What's going on, JMH? Sorry, I didn't see you when you jumped in.
John, welcome.
John.
JMH, if you want to jump onto the stream, go ahead and click the link, because I'd like to talk to you about your Predator.
Here,
we're talking comps and racing right now.
Yes. And shouts out to Psycho Garage, Psycho 13. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna pull his stickers off. Hater.
Yeah, I got my stickers dirt too. Thank you.
What, everybody getting stickers and not me?
I didn't get any RC84 stickers.
That's okay. I don't want to run y'all stickers anyway.
I need some RC84 stickers.
Man, I don't even have those. I don't even have a shirt.
So you got it. Yeah, I was designing a trail crawler shirt earlier.
Yeah, I might need to look into doing that. I could start selling, some clothes and shoes and stuff like that.
Got some big head RCs.
I might have to get one of them from you.
For sure.
You want to do me a favor? Can you click on the dots on the link and just pin it to the top? This way you don't have to keep reposting it.
Click on the link.
Yeah, just all the way to the right, the 3 dots, and just pin it to the top. Because it won't allow me to do it.
No, that's not it.
Man, my computer is way behind.
Oh,
Well, it's just now showing Guru holding up the stickers.
told you need to upgrade to a new computer.
Give me a couple weeks.
I know you like that dinosaur equipment that you got.
Hey. Stone tablet and chisels work just fine.
Yeah.
Just got to make sure you close your eyes when you're hammering so you don't get a stone chip in the eye.
Yeah.
What's going on, Nitro Freak?
How you doing, Frank?
Yeah,
What's up, Frank?
catch John back when he gets in.
Chris, that little bulldozer, man, worked pretty good. Pushed a lot of snow off there.
Yeah, it's not bad for a toy gradish RC.
Yeah,
Definitely fun.
I'm figuring Chris is going to be a beaver inside of an RC truck.
I have thought about that.
Yeah, today I watched your video and said you were single. I'm like, man, you better watch out.
Yeah, so that was you.
You need a picture of the beaver, and you like this in his ear, and a beaver whisperer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that some of the people in chat have seen some of the comments pointed to a lot of the people that got the new Arma Fire team as far as their thoughts and reviews on it,
Yeah.
how they were getting bashed about how they were saying it was great. And there's been a few people banned and basically blocked from a few channels. Me personally, don't care for one of the people because he used to show up to RC84 Films chat and didn't care for the fact that the humane way to take care of a beaver that keeps coming back is to basically kill them.
Make a pouch.
And I don't want him anywhere near this stream. If anybody in the chat has given him a wrench, I'm sorry. He rubs everybody the wrong way. He's always got snide remarks. And if you're watching and you're just sitting in the back, not even in the chat, RC Mask Master, you're a piece of shit. So that's all I've got to say about him.
He called you a troll. He called you a troll.
He basically trolls all the streams just to get a wrench. He never jumps in the stream. He's always voicing his opinion on everybody's comment.
Yes, Gibbs, I have it, and I just put I married my computer and my Cricut, so I'm no longer working off the phone with the Cricut. So yes, I have you, and I got your stickers before you got your stickers. Wait, well, I got your logo before you got your logo.
I didn't know
So
you
you're
were
going to be able to print stickers?
I'm trying to print stickers. I'm trying to do what I can. What's going on, One Stop?
One Stop, what's up?
Yeah. I just found out about that Cricut not too long ago. I was in Hobby Lobby and there's a whole section of this. I was like, what the hell is this? Some lady's like, oh, it's a Cricut thing. I was like, Cricut? What the hell is a Cricut? I was like, I'm thinking about the phone.
You can make these.
Yeah. You can make that. Now imagine putting that on the clear leg sand and you paint what color you want, and when you peel that off,
Right, and then peel this off, everything's painted instead of having a decal. You just make your own stencil out of the decal.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Waiting on this winter storm. Yeah.
Yeah, the winter storm is a hoax to me.
It's here. It's coming.
Yeah.
I'm so glad for you guys. It just cleared 8 inches out of my driveway.
There you go, Keith.
Oh yeah. Nice xenomorph.
I only had snow just for like 4 hours, and that's it.
It's raining right now, and I want to say it's like 40-something degrees.
Yeah.
That's what it's about here, but we're going to get
Yeah.
freeze.
I didn't have enough time to run all my RCs there Saturday.
It started raining here around 11 o'clock and hasn't given up yet.
Oh, my apologies. It's 36 degrees now, and as the hours go on, the temperature is going to deplete into the 20s. So we'll have snow by tomorrow. So I guess it
Big
is
Dad, what's up?
to call the schools, because they call schools up here in University Heights.
Yeah, Bubbles, I like the little Calvins. I actually had this about, I think it was an 8-inch tall decal. I put it on a four-wheeler that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I put that on one fender and put him pissing on Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki on the other one. Because I had the Honda 400EX.
You need to put one with beaver on it. Pissing on a beaver.
I like them chicken pussy stickers. The chicken's calling the cat's calling a chicken a pussy, and the chicken's calling the cat whatever.
Oh, the cat calling the chicken a chicken, and the cat chicken calling the cat a pussy.
Pussy. Yeah, it's a rooster and a cat. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Oh, you mean the cat calling the chicken a cock?
Yeah.
No, it's chicken and pussy. Yeah.
Cock and pussy.
51 here. 65 in North Carolina. It's 57 where I'm at.
I don't want to hear that.
G Greens, welcome back.
51 degrees. Sorry. It's 51 degrees.
Right. You know, you and Frank with y'all 65s and all that shit.
Yeah.
We had a heart attack last week when it snowed. Chris ass was doing whole videos. I don't know where this came from. It's been here like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen an ice before.
Last time he seen snow, he was 6.
Right.
Come on, that's not true.
I'm gonna say, Chris, don't wake up. It's gonna poke your eye out, man. That damn icicle.
Listen, Dad. I wasn't back there in the Ice Age days like you was.
Hey, we'll chase them saber tooths out.
Man, I can't wait till next year. 71 Friday.
73 Friday.
Oh man.
Whatever.
Yeah, December and January was the hardest months of winter, and that was it.
Yeah, so it'd be 73 your Friday, 49 on Saturday. How crazy is that?
By February is white beaters and shorts.
That's mostly down here.
Yes, that's when I stayed down there.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad's not in here, is he?
Who?
No.
Brad.
Huh.
No. Because I'm hearing nothing about talking about weather.
That's a Brad fact right there.
Let's go ahead and talk about Tamiya while we're at it.
That was pretty good last night when he was showing the new Tamiya releases, and we all looked at it. That's not a Tamiya. He goes, "What do you mean? Why do you say it's not a Tamiya?" It's because it's got hex screws on it.
Yeah. And bushings.
Yeah.
What's going on, Jam H?
Good evening.
What's going on, John?
How's it going?
Oh, not too bad.
While he asks you a question, I'm gonna go run and get a refill.
It's I wanted to talk to you about your opinion on motors for class 1, class 2. What you prefer to run in class 1 or class 2, brushed?
So I've been, up until recently, I've been a brushed guy across the board for motors. After getting my first fusion system for my 6x6, started changing my mind, and now, of course, I bought a second fusion, which is on my Predator for my class 2 rig, and I think I've pretty much decided for a comp rig, brushless is the way to go. Now, I do not have a brushless on my class 1 rig currently. It is brushed. But yes, for the control And I'm sure there's other brushless rigs that are motors that are just as good, if not better than the Fusion, but the control of the system to be able to put the rig where you want it, how you want it.
Right.
There's just no explanation. I mean, one of the things in our last Winter Series event, which is later this month, I'll have a better idea, but we run particularly the same courses for the most part for all our classes. I do better with the biggest of the rigs, the 6x6, but it has the one big difference is it has a brushless system on it and the control. And that's one of the things I noticed is just the control. I can go so slow in those really tight spots.
Right.
What I needed to do, where a smaller rig like my Predator rig, which is still a good rig when it was brushed, I was hitting gates or having issues, that I didn't have with a rig that's twice the size. And I do accommodate that a lot to the control of the system. Still like a brushless motor, I think, or brushed motor. I think for a trail rig, brushed is the way to go easily. It's too cheap and they hold up too well. But for control, brushless. For a comp rig, definitely.
Now, when you were running all brushed in your comp trucks, what turn motor did you prefer to run?
My favorite's been a Crawlmaster 8-turn, enough wheel speed. My Class 1 rig currently, it's straight axle element, so I think it's a 10-turn, I think is what I got in that one. And for anybody listening who maybe doesn't get this, if you've got portals versus straight axle, you've got to worry about gear reduction and changing speeds. So on a straight axle rig, 10-turn, I think is enough on that rig for wheel speed. But on a portal vehicle like my Gen 8 Predator, the 8-turn is what it needed to have the wheel speed I needed.
Now, the 8-turn, that's equivalent to a 21-turn? Or
somewhere around there, maybe slightly under that, but somewhere in that range, yeah. Because
and then the 10-turn would be 27 to maybe a 35.
Yeah, I think somewhere around 27.
Now, are them all 5 slots?
The Crawlmaster is 5 slots, yes. Like the Trail Masters, those are 3 slots. So, and the 5-slot motors have a lot of good control for a brushed motor. That's one of the reasons I like them. They do, for a brushed motor, have very nice control.
Right.
You can't beat the control of a good brushless setup.
Yeah, and even the price factor for that much for those motors, $20.
Yes, it's a great deal for a good motor. And I'm gonna look into getting one, but Exocaged RC was just telling me about that new, was it ISDT ESC that's cheaper now than the 1080 and has more tunability than a 1080. He says it's a great ESC.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like right now you can get it for $24.99 on Amazon.
Hey,
and it's Bluetooth capable. Yeah, it's Bluetooth capable. He said the Bluetooth connection is a little bit he said, but once you get it connected, he said it's got way more adjustability than the 1080 does.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look for the link and review on it when he's done with it.
Yeah, he'll be doing a video. I've actually got it pulled up here. I'll share the link to Amazon for anybody who wants to check it out.
See you later, Jays. Have a good night.
All right, Jays.
Take care, Jay.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, Kevin, that brush motor that Sean uses is the Creepy Crawl from Nitro Hobbies.
Yep.
Okay.
And same price point, $20. Holmes Hobbies, Yeah Racing, the Creepy Call from Nitro Hobbies, they're all $20, 5-pole, great brushed motor, rebuildable, adjustable timing, and figure for $20 if you buy 10 of them, that's a brushless system right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the price. That's the price of just the Fusion right there.
So you could have 10 of them sitting in your box, and it's not really going to hurt your pocket because you buy one brushless system, and something happens, you're back to either a motor or an EFC. So either way, you're at $100 on one side or the other.
Yeah, I think for anybody, if somebody was new to competition crawling and was asked me, I would easily tell them to go with a $20 motor and a 1080 ESC. It's a good entry point. You know, all good products. I mean, I like Holmes Hobby motors. I don't have experience with those others, but I've heard, you know, other people talk good things about the Creepy Crawler motors. Easy to get into, but when you start getting, I think, more serious into it, I mean, that's just like taking a ready-to-run rig and competing with it. You know, there ain't, in my opinion, there's maybe only 2 ready-to-run rigs that are worthy of truly out of the box going and truly competing in competition, and that is the Ecto and the Phoenix. And I don't even have an experience with the Phoenix, but the Ecto, obviously, I do have some. You know, if you want to truly compete in crawling, you're going to build a custom rig. So when you're getting into it, you know, $20 motor, a $40 ESC, great. But once you get far enough along into it and you realize I need more, you can't beat the control. You can't beat the drag brake of a brushless system. I mean, there's no comparison when it comes to drag brake between brushed and brushless. There's no comparison.
Right. Yeah, like my Three Brothers Yellow Jacket, the drag brake, you can have set at 100% with the brake ramping as high as you can get it, and it's still going to roll because it's such a short outrunner motor.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never get that complete brake set on it.
Yeah. That's what I like about the Fusion. The Fusion, I can put it on any hill. It ain't rolling.
Right.
Not going.
How do you
the nice thing about that. What's that, Guru?
I said, how do you tell how many poles it is?
Look at the box.
It usually says right on it.
I asked that because I have the RC 4-wheel drive crawler motor.
Yeah, I got one of them.
No, that's just a regular 3-pole motor.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was a $20 or $30 motor.
About $12.
There you go. 3-pole.
Yeah. One of the things I liked about my the Fusion also is I lost weight going to the Fusion system versus having a $20 motor and a 1080 on there. I actually lost not a lot of weight. I mean, you know, but I lost, you know, half an ounce or so, which isn't huge, but, you know, still lost weight and took up less space because 2-in-1, granted, the motor's a little longer. It is a little longer. So if it's a tight spot, you know, that might be an issue, but the motor is a little longer, but I lost a little bit of weight. I was concerned that the 1800 wouldn't be enough wheel speed for the portals, but after testing, not worried about it. And I've got room to gear up. That thing stays super cool.
Brushless?
Yeah, brushless.
Okay.
I mean, it's $157 for the unit, you know, basically. You know, that's everything, control box, you know, ready to go, motor set up. Love it.
I seen you do the testing with the Predator at Exto Cage's place.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on the setup on that now? With the new transmission, sitting down lower.
It's the best it's ever been. For me personally, that rig is the best it's ever been right this second. I said it in that video for anybody that watched it. I made obstacles that I had never climbed before. The climb time one that he has, I have tried and tried and tried with that rig, had never made it. Now, I can't make it going the way he normally goes to the right of it. I went up the left
Yeah.
side of it, which funny thing was he tried to go up the left side of it with the Ecto and couldn't. I could get up the left side of it. He even's like, hey, I've never even tried it that way. That's interesting. But again, got up that. The Crack of Doom, never have made it with. The only rig I think I've ever made it across with that was the 6x6. I made it twice. The very first time I tried Crack of Doom, and I tried it 10 times, made it twice. So obviously didn't make it every time, but I've never made it once before. That's a very tricky line to get across. Actually, it's deceiving in the videos. So.
Right. Yeah. Before, just to let you know, before we end everything tonight, if you're going to stick around for a while, stick around for afterwards.
Okay.
So we want to talk to you before we shut everything down.
Okay. Not a problem.
Now here's the question for you.
Okay.
Straight axle or portal?
See, that's a good question. I was clearly a portal guy because that's really the only thing I ever had until I got my Element Trail Walker, which is straight axle. I still think portals have a benefit, obviously, if they're set up right. There is you see some rigs with portals and they've got these, wide wheels, offsets are off, and so the portals are still can be a hang-up spot. But if you've got the right setup of wheels on there, the portals are at an advantage. So it really depends on the setup of the rig, ultimately. And it's the same thing on the straight axle. I mean, heck, look at ExoCage. Most of his awesome comp rigs, like SV1, straight axle truck, SV2, straight axle truck. So
Right.
any of them, I think, if they're set up right, can be good. And again, if you're setting up a comp rig, you're building a comp rig and setting it up, I would probably go with portals and obviously set it up right with the right offset wheels to give me every little bit of advantage you can have. And portals do have an advantage if they're set up right.
Right. And not just clearance, but you have the gear reduction in the portal also. So you can get overdrive set up in your transmission, overdrive in your front diff, and you can also put overdrive in the portals and basically have a front wheel drive truck where it's dragging the back around. And you could run that in class 3 and dominate class 3 with it because you have so much overdrive.
Yeah.
And you can put the overdrive where you want it. If you only want it in the transmission or you only want it in the portal and the axle, you can adjust from, say, 50% overdrive to 10%. You can pick and choose where you want it and how much you want.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah, and
along with the same lines, with the portal, you can't really. They do make tires that I know that are smaller. Do you go the smaller tire with the portal, or should that be a straight axle?
You can go with a smaller tire on the portal, but you have to stick with a 1.9 rim because of the portal clearance. So you can stretch.
That's what I know. I figured that much. No.
Yeah.
You
couldn't
have
put
to
the
stretch a 1.7 over. But once you get to a 1.7 and you're losing sidewall, so it's going to make it harder for side hilling, and a lot of your climbs where you have to grab a hard ridge on a rock or a hard point, it's going to be harder because you're not going to have enough sidewall compression to bite into it and conform the tire around it.
And so what I would say on the tire sizing, one of the things that I noticed in testing the Predator for the last year, really, I've tried a few different sets of tires, particularly tried the J-Concept landmines, which, to be honest, I've not been a fan of on my rig. I haven't been a fan of. I like the TRX 4 Canyon Trails modified. Those two tires compared to each other, the J Concepts are taller tire than the TRX or Canyon Trails. They're a taller tire. So with the Canyon Trails, it sits higher. With not the Canyon Trails, sorry. Landmines, it sits higher. With the Canyon Trails, it sits lower, and it performs better with the Canyon Trails. Now, I think that's specific to my rig, the way it's set up, also what we run here. So I think your size of your tire, I wouldn't think so much about your axles or portals versus straight axles as I would what you're running, where you're running, the weight of your rig. I think there's too many factors there that have to be taken into consideration, not just portals or straight axle.
Right. Total tire diameter, tire width.
Yep.
You know, and foams are real important too.
Absolutely.
Do you want to run dual stage? Do you want to run a single stage? Do you want to run a memory? Do you want to run an anti-foam? It all depends on what's in the tire and your overall dimension and width of the tire. That's going to play a big factor too now.
Absolutely agree. And, you know, I think you're right about foams. Foams are a huge impact on a rig. And what I might run on my rig that's just under 5 pounds isn't going to be the same as you're going to want to run a rig that's 6.5, 7 pounds. I think that's one of the biggest things. Weight and foams is a huge, huge difference. So just because this person's TRX over here with landmines performed great with a stage 2 foam doesn't mean that exact tire foam is going to work great on this rig over here that weighs 4 pounds. A likelihood it's not going to work the same or work as good.
So in my case, you know, my truck is 4.5 pounds right now, and that's with weighted wheels. And I'm running right now stock foams in my trenchers. And depending on where I'm at, it either performs really well or it doesn't perform at all.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then if I run my Scorpios unweighted, it will not perform at all because the truck's too light to actually get the tire to bite.
JDRC's, I think the Traxxas tires, they're definitely an underrated tire, even in stock form. But if you modify and cut the some of the knobs on them, nubs, really transforms that tire, and it makes them a heck of a tire.
What's going on, Chirp? Yeah, that's what I have to do. That's what I have left to do to my TRX4. That and paint it.
Yeah, it's definitely, it takes a little bit of time to do, but it's a worthwhile modification.
Right.
For those tires, so.
And I was talking to G.U.R.U and RC84 Films about U.G.U.R.U got picked up by a tire foam manufacturer, which is actually an anti-foam. I don't exactly know the name. I haven't really talked too much to Jeremiah from U.G.U.R.U about who they are, but we just picked up a sponsorship from them, and he's actually producing a comp style foam and a trail style anti-foam.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be testing the comp styles out this weekend on 3 different trucks with a couple different tire setups. You know, weighted, non-weighted, steel stamped chassis, and G10 chassis.
Yep. I would also say too, overdriving the front is definitely worth it in a competition rig. A lot of overdrive.
Right. You could overdrive. If you get the standard overdrive setup from Creel or SSD, which is a 10%, you could also get the 10% underdrive for the rear, which will reverse
It amplifies the
right. It amplifies it, so it actually gives you like a 20% overdrive, which it does work.
It does, especially for a competition rig. I will tell anybody that maybe has a rig that they compete maybe and trail ride. I wouldn't go excessive a trail overdrive in the front. I know on my Gen 8, I've trailed that truck at UST multiple years with overdrive in the front. Never seen an issue. Never heard a motor. None of that stuff. Obviously, my setup now with the G.U.R.U transmission, I'm about 35% overdrive, and I'm just on the hair of trying to drag the back tires.
Right.
Obviously, I would not trail that setup. But from competition standpoint, oh man, the turning is, God, it turns so good.
It actually feels like you gave it another 10 degrees of turning.
Yes, it's amazing. I know it's not as good as Dig, but
right,
it's extremely noticeable.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, that transmission comes built with 25% built into it, and then the additional 10% in the front axle. What a difference! What a difference!
Definitely. So definitely transformed my rig. And like I said, with that, the lower center of gravity that transmission allowed with the motor, bringing the motor down. Now with the fusion system, the control that I have with it, it's phenomenal. Actually, I haven't got to record it yet, but when I went out testing at the Exoplex, I actually borrowed Joe's scales. I actually have them upstairs, and I have had the Predator on there. I'm sitting right at 5842 with it, so I'm almost 60-40, which is what they say is the optimal split.
Right.
With it, and I'm sure that I can probably change that around a little bit. I'm actually doing that. I noticed that one side of the rig was a little off, so I'm actually working on scaling the rig, trying to get it equal side to side, just moving simple things like electronics around just a little bit to get the side to side equal as possible, because that was a little off. But
right.
Yeah, it's
Did you notice when you scaled it that your driver's front and your passenger rear, or I'm sorry, your passenger front and your driver's rear, did you notice that those were a little heavier than the opposite?
particularly the driver's rear was way off compared to the other rear. It was somebody else was like, man, that in fact, where's my phone? Hold on. I have a picture I took of it. I'm trying to remember what it was. So let's see.
When I scaled mine, that's the way it was the passenger front and the driver's rear were a lot heavier than the driver's front and the passenger rear. It just couldn't understand it.
Yeah, so when I initially scaled it, it was 5842. The fronts were 640 and 647, so not really too bad off. But the rear was 407 and 535 on the left rear. And
yeah,
I'm like,
it's
what the heck?
Yeah, it's just weird how especially if you weigh it without the body, you still get that off.
Yep.
And then you put the body on, and then it really goes off.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that, because I have that with the body off. I was actually at a 5941 with the body off,
right?
And that left rear was 469, where the right rear was 400.
Okay, now can that be accountable to the fact that on one side the drive shaft is longer than the other? Like when you put the axles, I meant the axles. Sorry, I said drive shaft, but I meant the axles. Like when you put the kit, I noticed that a lot of the kits come with one side longer than the other.
Yeah, but I mean, I know for me specifically on mine, one of the things that I had done that, I mean, when I did it, I wasn't thinking about the scaling of the rig. When I set up my electronics tray and mounted my 1080 initially and the receiver, I just sort of mounted them from a visual standpoint, not thinking about, hey, does this equal out weight or anything. I just sort of mounted it. And same thing with the, because I don't have the 1080 now, but even with the Fusion, it has a power button. So it's like, okay, what side do I put the power button on? I mean, that's a small little piece, but what side do I put it on? Now I'm at the point where, hey, do I put it on the left side to pull just a little bit of weight over there? Or do I, that's where I'm at right now. I'm not finished with that piece, but that's exactly where I'm at.
Right.
I mean, as simple as moving the receiver instead of it being centered, maybe it being more to one side, just to, that type of stuff.
Right.
Something that I never thought about until seeing it on the scale. And I wanted to scale it I was curious of what my front bias was. That's only reason I wanted to scale it. And then after looking at it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like, if I can get the side to side more equal, it's just going to make a more stable rig.
Right.
Chris, good seeing you tonight.
Hey, yes. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for hopping in, Chris.
Appreciate you for stopping by.
So definitely, I'm still learning, to be honest, in this regards. And actually, I plan to do a video. I'm going to scale just about all my rigs. Like, I'm going to scale my V1 Gen 8 just to see what it's at, my TRX4, my Class 1 rig, and I'm also going to scale my my drag cars. I wasn't even thinking Brian with BBY Auto was like, dude, why you got the scales? You need to scale the drag cars. I was like, dude, I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, huger thing for those, I was like, thank you for mentioning that, because I wasn't even thinking that way. So,
right.
So yeah, there's some things to
When I scaled, the last time I scaled mine scaled at 5347. And that was before I had this chassis set up already.
Yep.
So now that I have the new chassis, I've got the dual servo mount and the new LCG transmission. So my electronics sit right behind the transmission. So I've got my speed control, my receiver, and that's it. My battery sits up behind the behind the front wheels. So now I have more front weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using a body that has more weight in the center than it does forward to try and compensate a little bit of the battery weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I did put a servo winch in it to balance out the left and right. And that's Kevin, the only reason it's in there.
Kevin, I think it depends on if you're using, if it's for competition versus a trail rig. If it's a trail rig, I don't know that I would worry about it so much. But obviously, if it's a competition rig and you require to have interior and people in it, then I don't know so much if you would need to have a passenger versus if you scale the rig and just move other things around to compensate.
Right. Most of the people that do run alt Sorka rule comps, what they'll do is they'll get a Lexan interior with the drivers in them.
Yep, that's what I got with that truck.
And that gives you the scale points.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll run a hard body and they'll compensate for a full figure driver with putting electronics to the other side.
Yep. So, yeah, I did.
Most of those guys don't even worry about scaling. They more or less try to get an equal balance. If they're 50-50, they're happy.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't really try to get the 60-40 balance.
Yeah. It's a lot harder if you have a hard body. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it definitely would be more difficult, I think. But my class 1 truck has interior. We are required to have interior in our class 1, our local rules. And I just did the cheap plastic axial Unimog interior, actually, is what I did. So it has a person on the driver's side, but not on the passenger side. So I haven't scaled that one yet. I'm curious to see how that scales out.
Right.
Guys,
Now,
I just
from having,
excuse
go
me,
ahead,
Dennis.
Keith. Go ahead.
I'm going to take off, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Guru, for the invite. I appreciate it.
All right. Yep.
All right,
Okay.
Keith. Thanks for
You guys
jumping in,
tomorrow,
buddy.
all right?
Easy, Keith. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I know from all my cross trucks with the hard bodies, and then the other 2 that I have that are Lexan, the totally different driving experience.
Mm-hmm.
You go from Lexan to a hard body, it's almost like you have to learn how to drive all over again, because where the Lexan body goes, the hard body might not be able to go. You have to take a different line and figure out a whole new approach to it.
Yeah, definitely.
With that weight, it makes a big difference on how you drive it,
Absolutely.
how everything reacts.
Definitely agree.
But no, it's been a great experience actually comping with these guys and not having to really deal with all the SORCA rule, where we only actually enforce certain amounts of the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. We don't run winches, so you have to build your truck to where if you're going to run a SORCA rule and you want winch, you build your truck so you don't have to use the winch. You make that truck climb like no other.
Yep.
And that's the fun part about it.
Correct. JD, I'm not big on all the SORCA rules, because we don't really run true SORCA rules in my area. From what I know, I don't think you get any extra points for a cool factor of the driver. You just get points for having interior and a person. I believe most of the SORCA points is, metal sliders versus plastic sliders, and chassis mounted versus axle mounted, obviously interior and some other visual scale stuff, but there's a lot of it that's mechanical scales.
Like a bumper, a functional winch, your land anchor, like a roof rack. If you just take a small piece of expanded steel or just expanded metal like a screen and stick it on the roof, if you bend the corners up and have 2 little holes, it's considered a functional roof rack. You could take 3D printed turbo, put them on the hood, take a 3D printed exhaust stack or a McDonald's straw, put it on the back for an exhaust stack. It's considered a scale item.
Yep.
You get certain points for certain things, like if you take this jerry can, stick it in the back of your truck, you get scale points. If you take a milk crate with oil cans, washer fluid, a gas can, that's more scale points. High lift jack is scale points. It all depends on basically where you're at and how they want to score you, because everybody is interpreting the SORCA rules the way that they want now. Now, like where you run, John, I know you guys don't get penalized for reverse.
Nope.
Where we actually use that part of the rule. Every reverse is a point.
Mm.
If you hit a gate, instead of going by SORCA, where if you hit one gate, that gate only is dead, but the other one is still alive. If you hit one gate, the gate's dead. We just make it a drivability comp.
Yes, yeah, and see, we do the same in that regards. And I want to answer this: is it just me, or does it seem that most organizations do not follow SORCA? I've seen it across the board. I mean, and like where I compete, we don't really use SORCA, but you can go almost an hour south of us, and they use SORCA. I see plenty of over in Alabama, Mississippi area. They use SORCA. I went over there and competed once with them back last summer. And that was my first time having to deal with reverse penalties and stuff, which actually thought it would be harder than it really was, to be honest, in that regards. But yeah, we're the same way. If you hit the gate, both gates are dead at that point. You've hit it, do what you got to do. Now there's certain classes. So we have class 1, class 2 sport, which is what I'm currently in. Then you got class 2 pro. Class 2 pro gates are live at all times. In class 2 sport, winching is no penalty. Class 2 pro, winching's a penalty.
Right.
So there's some differences there. Class 3, class 1, winching is no penalty. 6x6 doesn't matter. Kevin Gibbs, it does depend on who's running the comps, basically, and the local group and what they want to use and follow. So I'm with you, Dennis. Try to make it more about the driver and rig, but
right.
And that's what it is, with us, doing a true SORCA, you get points for going through a game or minus points, however you want to look at it. We don't do that part. We get 10 minutes to complete a stage, and every gate is 2 minutes added on top. So it's about time / being good. Obviously you want to be fast, but you don't want to be too fast, because if you hit all the gates and be fast, you're still going to be probably last place.
Right.
So it has to be a combination of speed and accuracy. So
we just, like I said, we try to make it fun for everybody and not so competitive. So you're more or less you're trying to hone your skills. So if you do want to get into a SORCA, like East Coast Scale Challenge, that's all they do. Everything is SORCA rules from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
They score your truck before you scale out at, I think, 50 points. And then each penalty is a deduction off your scale points. And then you're just going backwards from there. You start at negative and you just start winding up in the positive, with which you want to stay in the negative as long as you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, I mean, if me and Dennis were doing in a SORCA competition, if his truck had the max of, say, negative 50 points and I only had negative 10, he's leading over me instantly at the start. He can afford more penalties than I can afford and still be ahead of me, basically. So in theory, somebody could start off with maximum points, and because of their maximum scale points, I should say, I ain't gonna say could instantly win. I mean, they could hit every gate and obviously probably wouldn't, but it gives you a nice lead. Now, of course, if everybody starts off with negative 50 points, then everybody's in the same boat. But, everybody has different views on that. Kevin Gibbs, I agree. I know when I first started locally, they actually had a Gen 7 class. They started that, I guess, a few years before I started, because Gen 7s had sort of become popular there for a period of time. So they had a Gen 7 class, and it was basically more or less had to be stock body Gen 7. And there's only a few things that could be done, like electronics, I think, could be changed, but you had to have a stock body Gen 7, straight axles, because they were straight axles. Like, there was not a whole lot that could be changed on those. And my very first comp was a Gen 7 in the Gen 7 comp class. I think I finished third in that, I think. So, I mean, we've done different things like that, in the past. 6x6. We have a 6x6 class. Actually, when Capras came out, they created a Capra class in our area because they were like, look, Capra is a good rig out of the box. Putting it in class 3 is fair. So they created a Capra class just for Capras.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you. I really do believe that they should come up with just a stock out of the box class where, like you're saying, just change the electronics, your servo, your speed control, your radio. This way, everybody's, on the same playing field.
Yep.
And there's no disadvantage or advantage.
They do that a lot of times in RC drag racing. Like a lot of the DR10 came out. There was a lot of DR10 classes. Basically had to be stock electronics and in some instances stock electronics and stock tires and stock body. In some of those instances, you could add weight and some metal stuff and all that, but you had to run the stock electronics. And one place I read had to be the stock tires that came on the DR10, which isn't a bad thing for people just getting into it. Keeps the playing field equal.
Right. Like when I was racing, when I raced on road, we had novice, sportsman, modified, and then pro. And then once you get through all that, then we also had a class that was spec. Mm-hmm. Certain turn motor, certain pinion, certain spur gear. Everybody had to run the same tires, and they had to stay within the limits on a body. So everybody was geared the same. Everybody had the same motor. It's just how you set your car up.
Eat tonight.
John Martin, I'm assuming y'all have some of that in some
that
of the racing,
we do,
right?
That's what I said earlier with the 13.5. That's our spec class. That's our spec motor and spec class. That's a Mud Boss, and then like I said, we also have the 12-turn Mud Boss, and that is basically a stock Traxxas Slash. Stock tires, the 12-turn motor, and the XL5.
Nice. They tried something similar for crawling a couple years ago. It was some kind of a spec class. You could do what you want. I say do what you want, but I can't remember. I think it was a class 2 based rig, but they were going to do a spec motor. So you couldn't do any motor you wanted. It was going to be everybody's going to run the same motor. I didn't actually partake in that one. And it didn't last long. So I'm assuming it just didn't work. But that was when I was sort of getting started in crawling, and I didn't know enough. So I didn't.
Yeah, you have to have enough people that want to do it.
Yep.
And I know when we did a lot of spec racing that we would actually buy, 30 or 40 of these motors and hand them out to every driver for the race. And you have to run that motor. You cannot run what you want. You have to run this.
Yep.
And there was a lot of debate and controversy because we're handing them a motor we think they should be using. Well, I want to run my own. Well, you can't, because it's a spec class. Everybody's got to be on an even playing field.
Sweet.
You can't run a Novak 17 turn when this guy's running a spec 21 turn, which is a lesser RPM motor. So the disadvantage comes from that, and then they want to change their gearing. Instead of running a 62 32 pitch or a 62 64 pitch with 21 tooth pinion, they want to run, this crazy gear that their rollout is, they actually have to push it to get it moving. And then once they're under throttle, they just, they pin it and hope for the best.
Yeah. I think for, and I don't really have any experience racing, but just from not RC racing, let me say, I would say from a racing standpoint, I think spec classes with a spec motor is a good thing, leveling the playing field. Obviously not for every class. Like should have all out classes where you sort of bring what you bring and have fun,
That's why they're normal. Them classes are normally labeled outlaw.
Exactly. But the spec class with a handout motor or something, I think for racing is a good idea. In a crawling competition, I have a fast motor, slow motor. That doesn't mean I'm going to get through the gates any better. I mean, necessarily. I mean, there can be some control aspects there, but there's a lot of motors that can have good control, and even with that, there's still finger control and stuff like that. So, Shade Tree, welcome.
Yeah, like I said, one week we just happened to have after all of our racing, it was an outlaw mud boss. That was a fun night. It's like, okay, everybody was racing their regular cars the whole night long, set up in the track, and then all of a sudden, outlaw come about. They gave us 20 minutes from the last race to this race.
Yeah,
and man, you should have seen the wrenching that was going on.
Nice.
So I swapped out an ESC and pulled the transmission and had my new motor and transmission all set up and just popped it in and put 2 screws in it and threw 4 bolts or 6 bolts into it, and I was ready to roll. They're like, "What the heck did you do to this thing?" Wait a minute, what kind of transmission? Oh, that's the drag transmission.
Yeah, Kevin. I mean, that's what we try to do at the comps that I go to. That's why we call them a drivability competition and not just a straight up comp, where we try to get people that want to try it out into the hobby. For instance, when I ran last week, I had a kid that's never driven a comp before. He ran a gatekeeper in it with I think it was a 21 turn Reedy. And he had 0 drag brake. He was basically set up for bashing. And what we do is we set the newbies up with the seasoned drivers, so we can give them the ins and outs. And it just turned out to be fun because I wasn't trying to be competitive. I was just trying to test my truck. So I could care less where I placed. But I helped him out throughout the course, and then along with the scoring, also help him out on how to score, which it makes it a lot of fun to be into that area where, you're not competing, you're just there to have a good time.
Not only that, but believe it or not, that new person might have taught you a trick or 3 or something that you didn't think of.
And this guy, he actually scored very well for his first time because he was watching everybody else and then watched me, and then came back and then I ran a 120 on my total score out of 20 gates on 2 separate courses, and then he ran a 140 with 2 separate courses on 20 gates, and basically was the same mistakes that I made, but his truck being bigger got him in more of a bind. So, like I said, I was there just to test my truck. I wasn't there to really compete for score. So we try to get them in as much as possible, whether you're new or seasoned or just want to try it out, see what it feels like for the day. So Yeah, it's definitely something that we're trying to get everybody involved with. Not just to be competitive, but just to get out trailing.
Kevin Gibbs, I saw your comment about you would comp if they had a stock class. And what I would say is, well, somebody also said it that class 1 is fairly tame, and I would agree, because you can't have heavily modified bodies and all that kind of stuff, and obviously small tires. So class 1 is not a bad place to start. But I would also say, even with class 2, like, we've had new people. I was a new person, and I'm sure this can be different everywhere you go, but I mean, we always welcome new people, and know that a new person, even if they're, in the pit with the big dogs, so to speak, like, I mean, everybody's always so open and willing to help them and just give them advice and show them the way, and whatnot. And it takes time just to get used to. It's one thing when you go out crawling with your buddies and you're just crawling across rocks and stuff. It's a whole nother thing when you're got to do a certain line to get through a gate a certain way. It's a whole nother thing, and it's a whole nother way of thinking and looking at crawling. So it takes time to go out there and do it and get the hang of it. You're not going to go out the first time and do good unless you've had experience with it. And don't mean nothing bad about it. It's the way it is. It's like, you're not going to go out and win a drag race the first time out if you've never drag raced before. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to go out and run with John Martin on the dirt track the first time and beat him. It's not going to happen unless you've got experience or get very lucky.
Yeah.
Woot CRC, welcome.
What's going on, Woolsty?
Now,
I'm glad you did that. I thought I did that when I was trying to. But once he comes out of time, I don't think you'll be able to do that again, because he has a wrench also now.
Now,
gonna have to take that wrench away.
Right.
Now, what's should we go over some of the major differences, since we're talking about comp crawling? What the different classes are?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about
Sure.
it. Yeah, I mean,
like I said, I know some trucks automatically right out of the box will fall right into whatever class,
Yep, definitely. I mean, the short and easy in a way is class 1 is designed to be a truck that you would see driving down the road in real life type truck, full fendered, full bumpers, a street driven 4-wheel drive truck. That's the way it's intended to be. But it's what is it, 4.19 or smaller tire,
Right.
full fenders, full bumpers, type thing. Class 2 is 4.19 or taller tire, up to
475.
475. There you go. And I guess real quick on class 1 and tires. So up to 4.19, which means you can go to a 1.9 tire and still be class 1 legal, because there is now, I think, a few different companies that make class 1 1.9s, Hyrax being one I know for sure. I think J Concepts may have came out with one recently.
Yes.
As well. So it used to be you had to run a 155 tire or wheel, but you can actually run a 1.9 now, because there is a few. And as Sean says, 155, 3.75 all day long. But class 2, is a little, bigger tire. You can do modifications to the body. Your tires can't stick out more than half of the fender, technically, if you're going Sorka, if you're going straight Sorka.
Right. Your tire can't be any, you can only have center your tire at the widest point of your body. And your fenders have to cover at least a quarter of the tread. Yeah. Then there's the bumper has to be as wide as your frame rail or wider.
Yep.
Front and back. you have to have a bumper.
Mm-hmm.
Your frame rails have to be total 3 inches overall past your front and rear axle. And yeah, there was one other thing, I can't remember what it was.
Well, I know the cab, because this is what we do. Like the fender piece for us for Class 2 doesn't matter. Like if you've seen my Class 2 rig, I pretty much don't have fenders on mine.
Right.
But so some places it's the cab, the window part of the cab of the body has to be as wide as the narrowest of the inside of the wheels. So basically, if you took your cab and took your truck upside down and set it on top of your front wheels, the cab should just hit the inside of the tires. That's also in the SORCA rule.
And that's Class 2?
For Class 2, yes. And keep in mind, anybody listening to this is all going to be dependent on your area and what rules they follow. This isn't a end all be all that everybody follows these rules, because my area, we don't follow all these rules. You know, we generally class based on tire size, the 9 up or whatever. We generally do that. The same thing, the bumpers, you got to have a bumper front and back, and it has to be the width of the frame rails, which 3D printers now, my bumpers are 3D printed, and when I say they're just the width, they are just the width of the frame rails on my Class 2 truck.
I just take a piece of metal, cut it the width of the frame rail, bend it, put a screw in it.
Yeah,
that's your bumper.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's many different ways to get around that. But if you're going straight SORCA, you know, you are allowed to do, you know, certain things to the body. Class 3 is more of a no rules in a way. I mean, bigger tires, 3.75 and up tires, 4-wheel steers allowed, and again, depending on where you're at, dig's usually allowed in Class 3, but here locally this year, dig was allowed in Class 2. You know, for us, because there is technically Class 2 rigs that you can buy out the box with dig, you know, the 10.3 being one of them. So, you know, Class 3 is a little bit of a do what you want in a way. I mean, there's still some rules there if SORCA wise, but it's like for us, Class 3 is pretty much do what you want for the most part.
Right. And like Class 0 is basically the way you buy your truck from the dealership, the way it's driven off the lot is the way it's got to look.
Yeah.
There are some things that you can do to it. You can't bob and dovetail the back. You have to leave it alone. You can't do any body modifications at all, just like Class 1. The tires are limited to the 1.5s.
Yeah, shade tree, dig, and 4-wheel steer. Again, I think this is going to be specific to the area that you're at and the rules that the local group is going to go by. For us, Class 3, dig, 4-wheel steer, you can have it all.
I think he's asking, can you have both?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's ultimately up to your area, but yeah. You know, I mean, it's possible your area might only allow one or both. For us, Class 3, you can have both. And Kevin Gibbs said, I'd rather have 30% overdrive than dig. And I honestly would probably say, if in a way, I would rather have both. And I only say that I don't have a vehicle with dig, but I have driven a couple of vehicles with dig. And it is pretty phenomenal. So I actually considering putting dig on my 6x6, to be honest. I am actually very much considering that. And that's the rig I drove with dig, was 6x6. And wow. That's all I can say.
Wow.
Yeah, no, like a good example would be, you know, the one truck that Joe has with the dig. You know, you can have dig on your Class 2, but if they don't allow you to use it in class 2. You don't, it doesn't mean you can't run that truck.
Yeah, you just can't use
You
that.
just don't use it.
Yeah.
Same thing with 4-wheel steer. You just don't accidentally hit the bumper because you will get a DNF.
Yeah. And Shade Tree, you might be right. I'm not a professional when it comes to Sorka rules. So I've looked at them before. I haven't studied every last part of them. It might be that you can't have both in class 3 per Sorka, but that's why I also say it is best to check with your local group or the group you plan to run with, because some people use all of Sorka, some people use parts of Sorka. Not it's different and where you go. So so it's always best to check the group you're going with.
Yeah, before you go into a competition or you just want to go and watch, definitely talk to whoever's hosting the event.
Yep.
And ask what the rules are, how everything is scored, or how your truck has to be set up, basically, and then just go from that. We just take a couple of the Sorka rules and implement them. Class 2 gates can't be any shorter than 12 inches. We don't use winching in class 2, which Sorka class 2 you're allowed. The body modifications, we've got guys that have the body slammed down to the point where they have servo sticking through the roof or the hood, shock tower sticking through the hood. There's no fenders. You have about that much of a cab for the truck in the total height of it, where it looks like it's just your window frame and that's it. But it all depends on what they want to do.
Yep. Yeah,
I personally like the way that we run it with minimal.
Yep. I will say that I think for us, like for class 2, we have the rule, which I think is a Sorka rule, that cutting the body or whatever, you have to have at least the same distance above or below the window on the body that you have that's the window seal to the roof, I think is how something like that. So if it's 2 inches from the window seal up to the top, then you got to have 2 inches on the bottom type thing. I hope that makes sense. I hope I didn't screw that up completely. I know what it means. I may not have stated that, said it the right way. So.
Excuse me. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend. So is my wife, RC. I really need to know how to work that 3D printer, brother.
Oh, speaking of 3D print, one of the guys at work, his son is playing with the 3D printer and
nice.
printed me a propane tank. So he just so happened that you can see that little hiccup right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it was laying on the print bed. And this is with 0 infill. So it's like holding a cotton ball.
Sweet.
But he's got a resin printer. He's been playing with that. He's having issues, though. And then the extruder nozzle is giving him a hard time with this. And he's still learning. He just sits at home and plays with it.
Yeah, hopefully soon I'll be doing some scale products also.
And Todd, not next weekend, but the following weekend, I want to try and get back out to Spirit Controlled Hobbies, get another hit out there on that course, and maybe get some more video, try and do another meetup with some other channels.
Yes. So I can get opportunity to put this baby on set.
Gonna dent the panels.
Yes.
And I am going to wait for Icon to come past me where that puddle is, and I am going to just spray him. There's no spit shine trucks leaving there.
Yeah, all trucks must get dirty when we leave PA next time.
Yep.
Nick Baker, welcome. RC Ohio, welcome.
What's going
Man,
on?
it's like us with racing. If somebody comes out, we don't care who it is. If that's a brand new painted body, everybody's going to hit it at least once during the race. You know,
Got to give you
everybody.
Mark.
It's kind of like law. You got to hit that car at least once. You know,
That's its initiation.
yeah, yeah.
See, everybody thought I was afraid to run this truck. Everybody thought because it sat up here all nice and shiny, which it's not shiny,
Her Royal Majesty.
that I was afraid to drive it. But it took a roll. It
And then he put it up.
scratched it all the way down to A-pillar. I wasn't afraid to let it roll. I didn't try to stop it. I just let it go.
And then he put it
And it
up.
hasn't been back since. Joke.
I've got too many trucks to just keep running the same truck.
Trust me, I understand. Because I have trucks sitting right now that I'm like, when was the last time I drove that one?
Yeah. No,
That's actually why I'm looking forward to USTE. That's my opportunity to take a lot of my rigs and drive some of them that haven't been driven in 6 months.
he took like 5 trucks, but like I said, Her Royal Majesty had a quick cameo.
This is the only truck that couldn't get driven because I forgot the remote for this truck.
Right.
But that's going next time again. I will have the majority of them back on one remote.
Sweet.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll bring a different variety of trucks again. Yeah, Kevin. It just adds character.
Wootsy asked how loud did he scream when it rolled?
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't scream.
Kevin
I
said
went,
like a
well.
woman.
But again, I did not see that truck after it was like gone real quick.
I drove the whole place with that truck.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
One time?
Yeah, I went around the whole place with it.
And then put it up.
I drove it, and I said, you know what? I'll put this down. I'll grab the other one, so at least I can drive with these guys, and if something breaks, it breaks.
Right. Yeah. What's going on, Angry Yank?
Because there is still a chance that I might be able to get my ass down to USTE.
That would be awesome. I hope you can make it.
If not, I will be doing what is it? Axial Fest in Utica?
It's not in Utica. It's in Attica, Indiana.
Attica.
Yes, RC Ohio. I have rigs that haven't been driven, and I think I got one that ain't been driven in probably a year, honestly. I think I took actually maybe more than a year. I think I took it to UST last year, but I don't think I actually drove it. So yeah, my V1 Gen 8, couldn't tell you the last time it was driven, honestly. I took it somewhere and I don't remember what I took it for, but TRX 4, yeah, it's been 6 months or more. My axial Jeep thing, yeah, that one's been a long time. So yeah, I got and then I'm finally been working on what's going to be my class 3 rig, which is technically was my Gen 7, which is on a Predator chassis. I've actually been working on it, and I drove it down the stairs the other day for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, Todd, you got a lot of trucks that I'd like to see out there. I seen when you did your collection video out in the backyard.
Oh yeah.
Definitely want to see some of them. But I am going to start gathering some more stuff up for Scale Garage. I've got some stuff going right now. I need room for the Scale Garage more than anything.
It's been a year or a little more than a year since I took my Scale Garage down.
Yeah, I gotta build me one. I want to build me one.
I have all the stuff, and I have a bunch of 3D printed stuff that I bought and all that kind of stuff that's been packed away.
Yeah. Radioactive Scale does a lot of 3D printing for Scale Garages, and he's got some really killer single bay all the way up to 20 bay toolboxes that'll take up the whole back wall of the Scale Garage.
Yeah.
Push carts and tire things and.
Oh yeah, he's got air compressors, generators.
Yeah, the tire. Yeah, someone else had a tire rotating machine.
Yeah,
that tire balancer was from somebody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that he's definitely got some cool stuff.
I've got jack stands and a couple toolboxes, ladder or two, I think. Mini computer, or I say a computer, a laptop, Scale laptop. A hand wash sink. I got a bunch of stuff that I've bought. Creeper.
Well, then when I build mine too, I'm actually going to build my old phone into the wall and make a frame around it for like a big flat screen and just run a video loop on it.
Nice.
But yeah, it'll be a while before I can actually get it built. You know, you can go to like Hobby Lobby or Michael. They have the checkered flag pattern vinyl that you can lay down for the floor. They've got the brick wall pattern.
Yeah, I bought mine. I brought the brick wall pattern stuff off eBay, and then I also bought the like same stuff, but not brick wall, but like concrete, and it's got like stains in it and cracks in it. You know that I bought. I bought that off eBay.
Yeah, Radioactive Scale actually, when we were talking to him last night, he said that his whole Scale garages is 100% 3D printed. The walls, the floors, all the lines for his air compressor, his outlets, everything.
Nice.
And he did all that himself.
Yep, electric plug outlets and.
Oh yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. It went all out.
I'm actually looking on Thingiverse right now at Scale stuff to see what I can print. Not that I really need any more, to be honest. I really don't, but
You know, I'm kind of limited on space though, because I'm in a 10 by 12 bedroom, one of our spare rooms.
Yep.
And if I do it, I'll probably do it in the closet where I have some of my part shelves, which I could probably go through that and eliminate a lot of the stuff. But I'd like to have it set up. I might even move my workbench into that so I have more area out here. I used to watch Extreme Scale Performance, and that's what he did. Is he actually built his workbench into his closet, so he closes it up, and you don't see any work area. You just see all of his shelving with his all of his rigs on them.
Yeah, see, at my old place, I did. I put my scale garage in the closet, and it was one of the dual doors that open, and they meet in the middle. So I had set up where I could close it, and scale garage, you don't see it. If I see it, and I could open it, and it was on the floor right there, sort of in the middle, and I still had the ends of the closet to have stuff. So,
Gotcha.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, babe?
How you doing?
Not too bad, man. What's going on?
Nothing much at work.
Yeah, Mr. Keep your RCs clean. How you feel, man?
Well, I feel great. How y'all guys doing tonight?
doing good.
Good, man. Good. I was just telling Guru and Todd that not next weekend, but the weekend after, I'd like to plan another trip back to PA.
That's cool. I'll bring 2 trucks to get dirty this time.
What?
I'll get 2 of them dirty this time.
Dirty or dusty?
Dusty, you're right. Pretty much dusty.
Well, I know you're going to bring the Bronco. What's your other truck?
The Gen 8 Red Cat. What's up, RC Ohio? How you doing?
Yeah, we'll get that truck muddy.
Yeah. I don't mind getting that one dirty.
Might get that Bronco muddy.
Yeah, Kevin Gibbs.
What's up, Kevin Gibbs? How you doing? What you drinking over there, Red Bull?
Road.
Oh, okay.
That's the same stuff that you made the body panels on?
Yep.
How many of them cans did it take you to do that?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1 for each panel.
Oh, okay.
And then I was supposed to get with Dennis to get that plastic to make the backing, but I saw Tanks doing a salad top.
Okay.
I had an actual giant salad. We bought a family size salad and a family size pasta. So I took that and cut the panels out, put the double tape on it, and so it's even lighter than it would be. Then I'm gonna do like Todd did his and put the rear steer on it.
Is Miss G.U.R.U coming too, so I can have somebody next to me that don't also get her car dirty?
Oh, she brings something that get dirty though if she comes.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah,
If there's rocks on the trail, play in the mud.
it's rocks, mud, and that it's the inside crawler course, but it's got rocks, mud, dirt, bridges, garages.
Dennis said that was dust. He didn't say it was dirt, remember?
Well, you only ran yours long enough to get it dusty.
I don't think it was dusty.
And it got dusty because that's what was like just landing on his truck when that heat came on.
Right.
I just wanted to stop by for a minute and chat with you guys. I'm about to head out. I gotta get back to work.
All right, say something in the chat.
Thanks for stopping by.
All right, I got you.
Yeah,
Have a good one.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin. Josh Elliott from ESP Extreme Scale Performance. He's the one that actually got me hooked on the axial, and he started veering away from being a builder to talking more about the party aspect, and just went rogue on his channel. And now he's basically not doing any videos. He moved back to Hawaii and is living off the grid.
Who?
Josh Elliott from Extreme Scale Performance. Really nice guy. He was sponsored by Axial, Holmes Hobbies, Asia Tees, and A-Main. And then he pushed Asia Tees out. Asia Tees, I guess, left a bad taste in his mouth. Axial dropped him, and then Holmes Hobby stuck with him, and then he picked up another sponsor, which he really doesn't, like I said, he doesn't do too much for video anymore. And it's a shame because he did, quality videos. He builds a hell of a scale looking truck. Everything he did was hard body. And if anybody ever watched any of his videos from a few years back, he used to do on a Saturday, he would do a video where everybody submitted photos of their trucks, and he would just go through and more or less judge them for the build. If it was a Lexan body, he told you he didn't like Lexan bodies. He couldn't stand body posts. If he looked at your wheels and didn't see a wheel hub, it wasn't scale. If he didn't see like a brass weight or a brake caliper or a brake rotor at the back of the wheel, he would tell you, you need that to do a little bit more scale accent, scale accessories, detail to the bodies. And I mean, he brought out a lot of good builders in the hobby, the way he would put them together.
Exactly.
But it was a good run for him for a little while, and then he just kind of went off kilt for a little bit. Oh, jeez. Exactly, Kevin. The politics should have never came into the channel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But so John, you're going JMH, you're going to USTE, and are you going to be doing Pro Line by the Fire this year or no?
I'm definitely going to USTE. Yes, absolutely. So yes, going to USTE. Sorry, I was doing something online, and I have no plans for Pro Line by the Fire at this moment in time. I am looking at possibly going to Beat the Creek. It's one event I'd like to go to.
Where is that at?
That's the one in Kentucky.
Yep.
When is that?
It's in May. The only issue for me is I'm going to the following weekend. There's a concert here in my area. So that's 2 weekends in a row would be the only thing, but I'm looking at possibly doing that. Plus, I want to make it up to Ohio at some point. Welcome, Tank.
Hey, Tank.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Good.
How you feel? Welcome. I'm talking about comps and the difference in the classes. Brushless motor as far as in the comp. What's your preference?
Yeah, it's always good to read the rules before you go, because every competition is different. Everybody has their own rules. Everybody has their own things. So
Completely agree. I think before I actually did my first competition, I went out to the event and just watched the first time and walked around because I wanted to have an idea, because I had no clue when I started.
Spank. I think this is the first time somebody calls me Spank. Mind you, my ex-girlfriend used to say spank me, but that doesn't count.
Oh,
Yank.
So how is your Vatera build coming? Did you get your airbrush today, Tank?
It's pissing me off. It's really pissing me off. No matter what I do with this paint, it is a pearl charcoal paint from these guys. For some odd reason, everybody tells me it's a great paint and things like that, and they actually say not to dilute it too much. Even on the instruction, they say no, just put like 30 drop and only 3 drop of thinner. But this thing is friggin' thick. It keeps jamming the thing, and they say do not put it 50-50. And everybody else's video tells me to put it 50-50. And I tried 50-50, and still it seems like it's clumping up, just like bad milk.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes into a little tiny piece. Well, this thing is doing the same friggin' thing.
Coagulating.
It's coagulating. Yeah, it's pissing me off. So either I'm just going to use a real charcoal or just paint it with spray paint. I can try with a different. I don't think it's me. I think it's the paint, because I tried with the red one the other night. It worked perfectly with the red.
Right.
But that one is giving me trouble. It's giving me hassle. So
Now, when you bought that paint, did you also buy their thinner for that paint?
yes. So this is their thinner from them, and it's written thinner on the side.
Okay.
From Mission Control. So this is their thinner that I got.
Used to that tank?
So put 1 drop of alcohol. Gin, is gin okay? Rye?
As long as it's clear.
And they also tell you to put a polyurethane mix additive on it. First time I did try the polyurethane mix into it to make it a little harder, I guess. It didn't work. Second time I tried without. So.
Thanks for stopping by, Todd. See you this weekend.
When I put the new needle in, did I adjust it? What do you mean by adjust it? Because you push it in all the way, and then you tighten it, and then when you pull it back, it pulls back and it blocks. What adjustment other than that is there to do, other than putting it back where it actually goes, and you actually see it protrude through the front of it, and then you tighten it. So when I hit the trigger, when I pull back, when I put air and I pull back, I see the trigger come back. I see the pin actually comes back.
And do you have other paints that you can try in that gun?
Yeah. I'll try the different paint. I haven't tried it. I just got pissed off earlier, and I just said, fuck it. for that one. But I tried the other night a red one, and I succeeded in painted, like, I painted all this in red the other night. So the gun works. There was no problem.
Right.
See, bam, there it is again. Thank you. Thank you. You was spraying that, and it was like, bing, hey, I got one of those.
Oh.
That was how I did my body panels.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin Gibbs says the adjustment in the rear of the brush.
Yes. Yeah, the adjustment in the rear of the brush, that's to limit how far back you can actually pull it. That just limits you when you pull it back. If you bring it all the way back, you can go all the way back. But if you push that forward, it just limits how much, not air, but how much paint you're gonna put in there. And that's all the way back. Like, I can actually open that needle all the way up to the front. My problem is it seems to be coagulating. It seems to be coming up in chunks for some odd reason.
Sounds like what Angry Yank RC is talking about then with the...
Yeah, it could be the pearl specs itself balling up in there.
Using the alcohol.
That's what I'm thinking.
He was saying he finds that the alcohol smooths out the stream on those pearls that like to cleave to the nozzle fan. Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to clean the brush again, or the airbrush. But before I run it, I will put some thinner into it, just so it's wet. So it's actually wet before I put the paint in there.
Right.
Maybe it's because the needle was dry and I put the paint in and I started painting. I don't know. So
Kevin Gibbs said it's drying in the brush, like RAS said. So maybe that'll help.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. Hold on, radio active scale. Yeah.
And add a couple tree drops in the mix. I tried, like they say you put like 30 or 40 drops and you only put like 3 drops of thinners in there, and it does not have the consistency of milk. Like I'm holding this bottle and like it's on its side and the paint is barely coming out. Like it does, like this thing is thick and it's not milk. But just 1 or 2 drop is not going to thin it out as if it's milk. So unless it's old paint, it's an old chunk or whatever, I don't know. Where is my gold one?
He says he only does, Angry says he only does it with the darker color pearls. The light ones seem okay. But Kevin also asks, is there a screen in your brush?
No, there's no screen. I haven't seen any screen. I took it all apart. I cleaned it. First time it jammed, I cleaned it. And then I tried it again with the 50-50 mix. And it's still jammed. This one, the pearl copper seems to be better. It's not open, but when I actually tilt it, I see it wants to come out. I see it pour, in other words. It seems to be a little bit more liquid. But what I find weird is even when I mix it 50-50, it's still
pretty thick.
It still clumps up. No, it's liquid, but for some odd reason, there's still little tiny pieces in there.
Oh, the metals clump up.
It's just odd.
Yeah, the pearls starting to bunch up in the tip. It could be just some bad paint.
So should you use like a 0.5 or a bigger tip, or what?
I did put a 0.5 in there. I had the 0.5, 0.3, and the other one I think is a 0.2. The one that came with it. I did change and I put the 0.2, the 0.5 in there. But it's still jammed up. What's the date on it? There's a date on that? I don't see it. Made in USA. Oh, that's the problem. It's not made in China. It's made in the USA. There's no date on this.
Kevin Gibbs says the paint just sounds old.
Yeah, the thinner in it might have just gassed out of it and only has just the paint in it now.
You could try that to seriously dilute it down, like do a sample.
Yeah.
You do like 10 drops of paint to say 15 drops of the thinner. See what it does.
Kevin Gibbs
Just a
says
small little mix.
At some point it will spray.
Mm-hmm.
I have no experience with.
Yeah, but then you run into the problem of actually spraying more thinner onto the body than paint.
Yeah, it's just you got to stay there longer. You just got to stay there longer and just like go over because your paint is so thin.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I want to do with the pearl copper. I want to thin it out so thin, and I want to tint the windows. So the driver and passenger in the rear window, I wanted a gold tint on there. So I was going to try this on there. Mind you, I was going to practice on a small piece before.
That's an interesting idea right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done that with rattle cans.
Yeah, that's how I do my rattle cans.
Yeah, it makes it flow a lot better out of the nozzle.
The Visc is a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I can try that. Warming up the paint, putting the whole thing in a cup of water and just making sure it's nice and warm.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta check if I do have alcohol here. The only one alcohol I have is the one in the mini bar. I'm not sure I have some upstairs.
I'm not taking any isopropyl.
Oh, so the bottle of scotch is off limits then?
Yeah. That'll turn it from a charcoal gray to kind of mud.
Yeah. Or charcoal black.
Hey, we have a real fireball and just throw the 151 into the mix.
There you go. Well, Guru, the snow has arrived. It's starting, at least over here.
I even have this stupid thing to mix the paint.
Yeah, I got all white streets. It was raining outside. It's all white out there.
Oh, is that a little mixer?
Yeah, it's a little mixer from Badger Airbrush Mixer.
Sweet.
The battery powered?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. I've never seen that.
Can you see that?
So it's got a little thing at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, no kidding. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh.
I'm gonna have to check my sponsor.
Let us know what the wife says.
Yeah, no.
I'm kind of happy. The new brush I got had a quick release on it. It had a quick release valve with it. So, you got another card.
Sponsor.
When you have time, there's a number at the back. Just email me the number.
No,
I think One Stop already did that one.
Yes. Ordered a pizza on Big Heads Live.
I don't remember. I think I was on that one. Yeah. As soon as we realized what was going on, I think me and Dave kind of looked at it, looked at the screen, looked at the camera like, what the? Is he just seriously?
Yes. Whoa, bro, you was supposed to mute that. Mhm. So then, here's a question: out of all three classes, what are y'all favorite classes and why?
Well, mine would be class 2 because it's more versatile as far as what you're able to run. You get a little bit more free reign with it, and really don't have to worry too much about your tire size. You can go pretty big.
Class 2 has been my favorite. It's been the one I've tried to concentrate the most on. But I will say this year, which is the first year that I ran 6x6, it's currently the class I'm doing the best in because we're doing a series and I'm sitting in third place in the series. And I've actually probably this year had the most fun in the 6x6 just because the 6x6 is just surprising how well they do, especially with a few good mods. So it's been class 2 for me, but 6x6 is my favorite.
Hey, Tank.
Hello. Me, just a sec. Me, it has to be class 1 or even class 0. That's the class I like best because it seems there's less people in there, and you do have to be a little bit better driver to actually drive in that class.
The tiny tires.
Yep. Go ahead, Angry Yank. Sorry.
You still got that bottle of Pearl?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hold it back up to the camera again.
This one.
Hold on.
Come on, camera, focus.
Yeah, that's. I think the thinner on that must have dried up because that should run pretty. It shouldn't be like sloshy, but it should be running a little bit better than that.
This thing is just like, it does not. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
A little. But it's gonna want to come out, but it's pretty slow.
Yeah. All right, hold up.
Yeah, I think the thinner dried up on that. That's what it looks like. Looks like it's got old. The thinner dried up.
Mm-hmm.
When I had a bottle get that bad on me, I literally had to take the bottle, cut it in half, get 2 empty containers, put half it in one container and the other half in another container. Then when I wanted to spray it, I capped off both of them, took a little bit from one, put it in a big container, added a bunch of thinner to it, a few alcohol, mixed it and stirred it real well, then kept adding a couple of drops to every 20, 30 drops of thinner. It kept getting stirred back up until it got back to a nice smooth consistency. Kind of like consistency of milk, like they're talking about. Should flow like that. Should be kind of runny like that. Because that's what it looks like to me. But I found that darker pigmented pearls love to clump a lot. I don't know why. It's only the darker pigments that like to clump up more than a lighter pearl. And I've never been able to figure that out. Why it does that?
Because I used my other gun the other day and it seemed to be not bad. It wanted to work. Like I started the back and it kind of started painting, but it was very thin. It was almost clumping, or not clumping. It was almost clogging my gun. But I kept going and it kind of did do some of it. But it's too bad. But this is very clear. I can almost see through it. It's like when I put my hand here, you see it's not thick at all. You see through it.
Yeah, it's just a ghost layer.
Yeah, so it seems to be not bad. It's a nice color. It's going to be very nice once it's done and once I put a clear on it. But I just need, you can really see how clear this is at the back right now. So
somebody may want to get rid of somebody there.
Yeah, Queenie, Kevin, somebody.
Granny? Hey, Granny, how you doing?
That's what it sounds like to me. Like the thinner's completely dried up out of that bottle. You just need to really thin it down and dilute it down. Okay. And then test it out on a piece of spare Lexan you might have, a piece you cut off, another shell. Test it on that to get the consistency down. But I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that really helped me a lot when I started spraying pearls, especially the darker shaded pearls, is right before I did my painting, I'd warm it up in a cup of hot water. take it directly out of the water, mix it up with my solution of a little bit of thinner and a few drops of alcohol. Make sure it's still warm. Whereas in the gun, I would swirl the grunt as I'm spraying. I'd still swirl the gun to keep it moving, so it wouldn't have a chance to clog up. And clean that brush very, very well with isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Flush it out real well, and make sure it's still a little bit wet as you're putting the paint on it. It'll help it, and then spray it. A couple of little passes, and you're ready to rock.
Now, when you fill your brush, do you put a lot of paint in that little cup, or just a little tiny bit?
About 50%. Most I'll go with about 50%. Usually I try to keep it between 30 to 50%. And when it starts getting a little bit low, I'll keep that consistency, the dry mixed up with my alcohol and thinner. I'll keep that in a little container in a cup of warm water, not hot, just to keep it thinned up. And then I'll add back into the reservoir or the paintbrush as needed. If you fill it too full, the weight of it makes it so heavy when it comes down, it'll start spraying out with clumps if there's too much in the reservoir.
Cool. Yeah,
No, he was sticking out of here for a reason.
I picked up some RC clear also, some clear so it clears out, in other words. It's going to be nice and
try to rip me.
Cool.
Well, we can hang out with you. Go hang with Daddy. Go hang with Daddy.
Okay. But I never had any problems like that with rattle cans. It was really frustrating.
Phone overheated, so I had
to switch the computer. Thank you, Cuzzo. I appreciate it.
Man, that's just my opinion. That's what I think would happen to that bottle of Pearl of yours. It just, the thinner dried up on it, and you just need to take it, split it like half and half, put the other half away you're not going to use for a while, warm up the other mixture, then take a little bit out, mix it in with alcohol and thinner. You get a nice little consistency on it. Just test it out in the panel. As soon as it's ready to go, clean out your gun real quick, spray some alcohol through it so it's a little bit wet, fill up your reservoir about halfway, get to spraying. Should be fine.
Cool.
Yeah, I should get out of timeout that fast.
No, she just deleted the thing. She didn't put him on timeout.
Oh,
put him on timeout. Just block it.
You can put it on timeout and block, but 90% of the time they'll come back with another name or whatever.
Okay.
If you click on the name now, you got to put it in timeout or block.
Guru, you made it big time when you get spammers.
Hey, man. She came with a different one. All right.
No, it seems to be interesting with the air gun, that's for sure. It is frustrating that I can't get that one paint going. But yeah, I do want to learn it. There is some frustration in there right now. What I don't like right now is that the fact when you finish with one color, you got to take the gun apart just to clean it just before you run another paint. Or do you guys usually clean it well before you run another paint, or you just run a bunch of thinner in there and then you put other paint?
Well, usually what I do if I'm doing airbrushing, like I do it every now and then on some bodies, I'll have multiple heads, multiple pins for the same compressor, and then I'll mix up my lighter colors and then my darker colors and put them in separate pins. But if I do it that way, what I'll do is I will not add the paint to the pin until I'm ready to use it, and I'll keep the paint ready, the mixture, after I diluted it down in some warm water, so it's ready to go. So if I want to do a two-tone, like a white with a black or silver with a darker color, I'll do my darker color, and then I'll fade it out with the actual lighter color afterwards. And then if you want to do your under or whatever overcoat over the top of it to darken it or lighten it, you do that at the very end after you clean out one of your pins.
So you have multiple pens. Right now I got two. I did buy a cheaper one. I do have a more expensive one. But I'm just trying it out right now, so which is kind of cool.
My airbrushing kit's got 5 of them. I got one
Oh, yeah.
strictly for clears. I have one for light colored pearls, one for dark colored pullers, one for light colored paint, and one for dark colored paints. I keep them separated.
Gotcha.
And your brushes are what price range about?
Mine, I think the most expensive one I got is like $42.
What you got?
Okay.
Iowata?
That one's for my pearls. What's that?
Is it the Iowata?
I think so. I'd have to go and double check. They're in my back of storage unit at the other end of the building right now. I haven't
Because
torn
they
them out in a
vary,
while.
like 150, 200, 400 bucks. There's some stupid prices out there.
Depends on the system. The one I got, the compressor, hose, and the kit cost me about $140 for the kit, and the heads were running about. They vary between $30 to $50, depending on what you need.
Mhm.
And most of the ones I got, they had a deal on it. If you bought the kit, they'd sell you extra heads for like $40 a shot. So I just bought 4 extra heads right off the bat.
What do you mean heads?
The pins.
Oh, the pen? Okay.
It's a fully assembled pin. You just kick it on your airline,
Yeah.
take out the reservoir cap, put in your paint, ready to rock. Of course, you adjust your stream and all that good stuff. So
Yeah, I just got to get more quick disconnect. I got to buy more of the quick disconnect.
they will save you time, that's for sure, than having to sit there and thread them on.
Switch to create expense. I do have some of those here from previously. I think it's Creatix, but they're much older now. I picked them up a while back from the compressor and the pen. But the problem with me is my local store had these in stock, and that's the reason I bought those is because the local store has those. So that's the reason I got those.
Understandable, supply and demand, you know.
Yeah.
What was that? It says cheaper brush is actually easier to dial in, more expensive or touch.
That can be, Kevin. Like the ones I got, it only got 2 nozzles on the pin. You got one right below the reservoir, how much paint you want to allow into the stream, and it's got a second dial on the back right above the airline about how much air you want to bring in.
Now this one is kind of cool, the new one I got, because it's got this new valve in the front, and this actually regulates your air, how much air you actually want to put. So this is for your air, which is kind of cool. I can close it or open it. So, and the more I close it, barely any air comes out, and then I can really open it up.
Not bad.
And then this is to how far back you're going to pull it. This one.
How much paint's allowed.
That's how far back. And then this is actually just to hold your needle, to adjust how far your needle is going to go in or whatever. Right now I see the needle. It actually comes out all the way up to the end. And there is no paint on there, no dry paint, because there's no friggin' paint that want to come out.
Man, that's gonna be interesting once I cross that bridge.
It took me a good 4 or 5 months of steady playing with airbrushing before I started getting the technique down pretty good. And it took me a good 3 or 4 months after that, almost a full year to get down pearls. The darker colored pearls, for some reason, just seem to be much more of a pain in the butt.
And the solid colors are easier to work than the pearls. Hold on.
Yes.
See the little pieces in there? That's in the paint. That's in the... I didn't clean this brush yet. I was playing with it. I just put some thinner in there and I just shook this. And there's just like a lot of tiny little pieces everywhere that are coming off of it. It's just crazy.
A little bit of alcohol will help keep that from sticking and help them get from clinging together. The clunks of pearl from clinging together. That's one thing I learned when I started playing with pearls.
See all those little tiny dots in there?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the coagulation, and I think that's what's jamming the brush,
That's what's doing it, all right.
because
That's-
it shouldn't be like that. It's just
Yeah,
not.
the thinner is completely gone out of the paint.
Kevin Gibbs made a good point too.
It's a bad batch.
It could be a mistake on the thinner because you have a lacquer thinner and an enamel reducer, so they could have had it mixed up.
There's multiple types of thinner out there depending on what you're using and what type of paint you're using.
Yeah, so if you use an enamel reducer and lacquer,
it'll really screw it up.
To coagulate.
Are you using one of those?
And vice versa. Use enamel thinner for enamels and lacquers for lacquers.
Yep.
Do not mix them. Never
Well, how
mix
do
them.
I know which one I got? This is the only one, as far as I know, they had for thinners.
It should say somewhere in the ingredients of the bottle what its base is made from.
Okay.
Either lacquer or enamel. You always want to keep the enamel together with the enamels and the lacquers with the lacquers. If they get mismatched, oh yeah, you'll have clumping problems. You have spraying problems. You have clinging problems. It'll have splatter problems where it'll come out of the gun. The spray, the fan will be all right, but you'll get a big bunch of little blobs come shooting out and sticking everywhere.
Yeah. Well, this is water-based paint reducer, so.
Water-based.
Well, you could actually use water.
Lacquer.
If that paint is water-based, I would just use water.
No, they say not to, but I know what you mean. I could try the other one, the other thinner I got from a different company. They say not to, but if it's an issue, I can't.
If it's water-based, I use only diluted water for it. No, I don't go near tap.
Right.
And use very warm diluted water.
Yep.
Now, what's the difference between an airbrush reducer and a thinner?
The reducer reduces the actual how thick and thin it is, and the thinner makes it to where thins it out to where it's easier to spray. So you can get more out of so when you use the reducer, you can get more out of a bottle. You don't have to use as much paint.
So Nick Baker has a good question. Out of curiosity, can you use mineral spirits to clean out the airbrush gun if it's pitted or acetone? I don't know the answer to that. So.
I use acetone. You can use mineral spirits to clean them out. Acetone usually works the best for me. I'll use a little bit of acetone, then I'll flush that back out with isopropyl alcohol, and they come out real clean, real nice. Don't use too much acetone.
Yeah, and if you're not going to use the airbrush for a while, after you clean it with the acetone, then you could run a little bit of mineral spirits into it, just to keep everything from sticking.
It'll help it from clogging, so your valves will get stuck shut. Your ball valves will get stuck. Very good practice to use. And keep it in a nice, tight container. It doesn't get too much air to it when you put it away.
See, I got this airbrush flow improver. Airbrush flow improver. They say that if you add this to your paint, it's going to stop it from sticking to the needle, not noodle. And fast color. I do have this one for fast color also. The paint thinner from Fast Color. So I can try it. It's only about 10 or 15 drops of it.
But when I store mine up, I always flush it out with the acetone. Then I put a little bit of alcohol through it when I'm done, when I'm ready to put it away. And I do like what Trail said about putting just a little bit of mineral spirits in it, because that will help. That way it keeps your little ball valves from getting stuck. If they do keeps them from drying completely out to where they lock up. Then you don't have to tear it back down and reflush it and re-clean it. And I always put mine in a nice tight container, because the more susceptible it is to getting moisture to it, like say from an air conditioner in the summer times, and then it getting heat from heaters, like in the summer or the winter times, the hot air and the cool air will really jack them up. So I try to put them in a fairly airtight container when I store them. It tends to help quite a bit.
Yeah, condensation doesn't help matters.
Not at all. It'll destroy a pen real quick.
Yeah, you could take them and store them in a Ziploc sandwich bag. Even a an empty water bottle, put them in the water bottle with a cap on it after it's dried out.
I found there's these Tupperware containers that you can put like little mini casseroles in. They have a little rubber silicone seal on the lid, and they got the little flaps that lock down on all four corners, all four sides. Those work excellent.
Exactly, Nick. Same concept as painting a real one-to-one car.
Mm-hmm. I have a separate gun specifically only for clear coat. Nothing else goes through that gun. And my dark colored regular paints go through the dark gun, lighters through the lights, light colored pearls through a second or a fourth gun, and then my dark colored pearls go through the fifth gun. They're all separated.
Yeah, you get a airbrush for your solids and an airbrush for your metallics and your pearls. Makes a big difference when you go to spray. This way you know this one is set up specifically for that. This one is for this.
Yep. So that way you don't have to keep digging around. You got to adjust your flow for the little bit fucking more flow for your pearl and reduce it back down for your thinners. And it's a huge pain in the butt. Just get one gun for that specific type of paint, then you know it's set up properly that way every time. I usually put a little Post-it note right on top of the container it's stored in. What gun it is, what the settings on everything for, what types of stuff I use to clean it with, everything right there on the sticker. Saves you a piss load of time. Just keep on practicing, Tank. You'll get her down, brother.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get her. Just trial and error, man. Trial and error. Just keep those spare pieces of Lexan you cut off for practice.
Oh, I got lots of patience. That's one thing my wife tells me is you're very patient. So
that's good. You definitely need it for airbrushing. Once you get it down, it's so much fun.
I actually got these to practice on. So there, you get them when you get salad or you get whatever. So or meat. I got these at Price Club. There was like it was even a sheet to protect it. So, but I usually paint, or I'm going to try to paint on the outside.
Oh, like muffin and cake containers, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to try to paint from the back of it, and I also want to practice from the front. So this is going to be cool. So if I want to do a design and see, okay, yeah, it works better if I put that paint on before or after. So this is perfect to practice on.
Oh yeah, those are good to practice with.
And recycling.
There you go.
And thank you, Lily Ruth.
Because I've been doing lots of painting on RC bodies for years and years. And then one of my friends, he used to do a bunch of airbrushing. And he's like, as much time as you do on all your paint jobs, he goes, why don't you ever try airbrushing? And I was like, pretty skeptical about it. I was like, it's so much work. You got to do this, you got to do that. And he just do it. So finally I said, okay, fine. If I go get an airbrush kit, will you shut up, dude? He's like, yeah. So I went and bought one. And then I had a whole bunch of crap, extra chunks of Lexan laying around from old projects. And he goes, just play with it. Just learn. And he goes, you tell me the basics. Like, we're trying to get out to everybody, use your enamels with your enamels, your lacquers with your lacquers, use separate guns, keep the cleaning stuff in this, and then store it in airtight containers, and use your separate guns for your different types, different colors. And once you get that down and once you keep playing with it, it's so much fun, man. Your creativity just goes through the roof.
So then on the average, how many guns do you say you would need?
To start, I'd just get 3. One for pearls, one for your regular colors, and then the one for clear coat. Just to get started. Until you start getting a lot of time under your belt, and you really want to start getting more specific, then you can get more guns. I know my buddy, he's got shit tons. He's got some that have a gun specific for light colored neons, dark colored neon, dark colored pearls, light colored pearls. He's got like 14 guns in his airbrush booth.
Oh, yeah.
So then what gun is the best for what? Like, I know it's a top loader, and you have the bottom feed. So as far as like lacquer, pearls, which one is best for what?
I
your
personally would use a gravity feed for your colors and your siphon for
Siphon for your pearls.
flint coat
Mhm.
and any like your heavy metallics and your pearls.
Exactly. Hmm. Siphon feed works great on pearls. Gravity feed works the best on your standard colors.
Now you're telling me this. I already bought the gun. I could have bought a bottom feed.
You
No, the
didn't
gravity
ask.
feeds
Yeah,
work good
you-
for a lot of the stuff,
Yeah, you.
but when you have multiple guns like Guru's got sitting there that have never been opened yet,
Hey,
Now-
what did I say? I was doing that this year, and I got that.
You can use a gravity feed for a pearl. It can be done. It can. I've seen it done. But I see that, like Trent was saying, I would rather use a siphon feed for the pearls than the metallics. Because it brings it up as a smoother consistency. It pulls it up and keeps it at a smoother flow, steady flow. Gravity feed can be a pain in the butt. Because if you got too much in there in the container, like you fill it way too far up, it'll slow way down and you'll get barely any paint. And by the time you crank up your flow to get enough paint out, you'll get too much and it'll come out and start globbing everywhere. Turns into a freaking horror show.
Mm.
That's just my opinion. I'm going to shut up now.
Some good info being shared, though.
Yes, definitely. Appreciate that.
And one of the very first things, and my buddy did not tell me this, but I learned it on myself because I've been painting cars for real life cars, one-to-ones for years. I've been a body man. I've done a lot of custom paint jobs on real cars, even airbrushing on cars, real cars. One thing I got for my compressor, I had to go and manually make one. I had to get an air. I made my own separate little air dryer kit for it. So the air, as it comes out of the compressor, is going through an air dryer. So it's removing almost all the moisture comes out of the air. And then right after the air dryer is my regulator. So it keeps it at consistent pressure as it comes out the line before it gets to my pin. So it comes out of the compressor, it's dried, and it's regulated to whatever specific pressure you need for your pin, whatever metallic you want. If you want slightly higher pressure for metallics, and a little bit lowers on your colors.
and not to try and cut the stream short, but Guru, you want to just cut it in about another 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk with John before we completely sign off.
Sounds like a winner.
Yep.
Yeah. Stage 2 dryers. Okay. And dryers, what are you guys using? Hair dryer, hot heat gun. What?
I'll have to go and look at the one I got. It's a store-bought one. I got it off of it's from an airbrush store that actually had them. It's a company that made the big airbrushes for automobile compressors, automobile tanks. I took it and I basically took the same concept and reduced it down a little bit smaller. And it's basically a water separator. Basically what it does is as the air comes out of the compressor, you might get a little bit of moisture here. Say you're spraying on a cooler day in the summertime, you still got a little bit of moisture in the air because you ran your AC for a while. You still got a little bit of moisture in the air. As the compressor pumps it out, the dryer system basically has screens and little fucking filters it goes through. As it comes into the dryer, it clings into the spring, and the screens will cling onto the water. The water will get pulled and drip down into the container. While then, the pressure of the air is getting pushed through it and around it. That lets the dry air through. So all the moisture is getting clung to the screens on the inside. It's just a drying system. Water separator, basically. Same concept. I'll go look and see. I'll have to go dig it out here. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. I'll drag it out.
Oh.
Thanks. Did you catch all that? Leave it up to Sean.
Now that I'm done confusing the shit out of everybody,
Always lots of info.
Yes, I love lots of info. They'll always be able to play it back and get the information if they want to. So.
But that was one of the things that made a night and day difference on my airbrushing quality was putting that freaking air dryer on my system. So as soon as it came out of that compressor, I put the dryer system in. As soon as I did that, I was getting so much smoother and cleaner looking paint jobs out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, what we do at work, instead of buying the cartridges for our air dryers anymore, is once the life of them is depleted, because ours is a big cylinder, it basically looks like a roll of toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
We just take that out and we literally put, a cheap roll of toilet paper into it to collect any moisture, and it's one of the easiest ways to just keep going with it, so you don't have to spend all that money.
Mm-hmm. The one I have has a little filter. You just unscrew the bottom of it. When you unscrew the bottom, it's got a little bleeder in the very center. That's thumb screw. When you unscrew it just a little bit, the water drips out. When you're done, you can pull the whole thumb screw off. And when you pull it off, on the very end of it, there's a round ring, and in the middle of that is a screen, a paper filter in the middle, and a separate screen on the other side.
Right.
And that's the filters you got to change. You can do those I change them like every 50 paint jobs. I'll change that screen off, that filter off. So I can usually get about 50 paint jobs through it before it starts getting clumped up and I start seeing a little moisture in my fan stream. So.
Yeah, it's definitely time consuming and an art once you dedicate yourself to it.
Yeah.
Ramel, it can be as deep as you want or as not as you want with RC. When it comes to the painting and stuff, I'm not nowhere near any of these guys right here. I've only painted a couple of bodies. I suck at it. Absolutely suck at painting bodies.
There's only one way to get better. Only one way to get better is keep trying.
Agree. Practice makes perfect, but I'm just meaning the nice thing about RC is it can be as in depth as you want it to be, as detailed as you want it to be, or not. That's the nice thing.
It's like beginners, they get into it, they'll do the beginner stuff, they want to push themselves to do a little bit more. As you get comfortable with it, you learn more and more. You run other people that do it, you can learn more stuff and grow. It's so much fun. To answer that question, Nick, yes. That's where I got the little dryer for mine, was from a paint shop, an automobile paint shop for real life cars. I basically took it. What I had to do is I had to get a low to medium flow dryer system. Not for a high pressure system, that's for using for one-to-ones. I had to get a low, and I had to get adapters to thread it down to fit my compressor.
Tank.
What?
Can you do me a favor right quick and grab that brat? Show my cousin what you did with the
the Subaru Brat. Yeah.
Just
wait, just before there, I just cleaned it out and there was some dry stuff in the needle. The needle here, if I push it all the way, it's all the way in now and I can actually see it come out of the tip. Now, this is the locking one that actually comes in the back. That's the only adjustment you need to put, is just make sure it's tight. So when you pull on it, it actually comes out.
So that adjusts the depth of how far the needle can go in and out?
Yes, this is adjust the depth, how much. And this other one here that actually screws here, I noticed that's how stiff you want your pull back to be. So if I loosen this, it's very loose, and the more I tighten it, it becomes tighter. So
that second one you just talked about, where it's looser and tighter, that's basically for your own feel, what you like. If you want to use a small little bit of pressure to operate it, because some people like to operate it with their thumb, some people like to operate it with their forefinger. Depends on what type of the way you're holding it and how much pressure you use. That's a very cool thing to have on your gun. Now, on your needle adjustment, you want to adjust your needle to where it has a longer throw for metallics and a shorter throw for your standard paints.
Okay, so in other words, for the metallic, I could because right now it's sticking out. I could pull it back about a 1/4 inch, and now it's not sticking out, but it will kind of be blocked a little bit, and then tighten it. That means it's going to come back farther.
Yeah, it's got a longer throw. You can put more air through it. Mm-hmm.
So now it's more paint is going to go through it.
Mm-hmm. It'll help drop the paint smoother, and it'll get out more airflow.
Okay. Yeah, I can try that. Okay, I'll get the Subaru Brett.
My cousin is new to RC. In case y'all didn't know, this is my cousin, and he's just peeking in, showing me some love. But I want to
in.
some of the
Yeah, but
difference with RC.
this was basically a lot of custom work. Usually you don't.
Subaru. Hell yeah.
There's a exo cage I kind of built around it. Everything is done with styrene. The back actually has a locking gate that I actually can open. It's got hinges.
That was cool. I like that.
This turret actually does turn. It's got a servo on it.
M60 turret on it. That is cool as hell.
This has the pin. The body pin is under here, and it's actually attached on this styrene piece. So that's why I made the nose like that, to actually hide the body.
That's pretty wicked. Hell yeah.
All these little tiny dots are all styrene rod that I cut in tiny pieces and individually
make them look like big rivets. That is cool.
Yeah. So
that's wicked, dude. I like that one.
Yeah, you did good on that.
Metal finish, kind of.
An apocalyptic Subaru.
Yeah, that's this because of basic polystyrene sheet.
And then I got little tiny on the fenders. I do have little tiny like knives comes out, or you see the spikes come out on the fenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
So.
And he's got his lights behind the grill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do have a light bar behind the grill. It's in the back. The headlights are actually red.
Sweet.
So it turned out pretty good. I like it.
You see it come, run.
And the gun turns, for anybody that hasn't seen this. The 50 cal gun there turns from his remote.
Yeah, when I turn the wheels, I got in a remote that when I turn the wheels, the gun turns with the wheels. And if I'm stopped, I can actually turn the gun without turning the wheels. So individually, I can turn the gun. So kind of cool.
Yeah,
wicked.
He did a great job on that.
I like that one.
And I believe he was going after the Mad Max vibes. I believe is what he was after, and that's what he's.
Yeah, the Mad Max vibe. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that turned out really cool. I like that.
Yep.
All right, Sean.
I take the tip cover off. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people actually do that on the videos. They take the tip cover off so they can clean the tip.
Dick Baker, have a good evening.
Yeah.
Take care, Nick.
We're going to start closing it out. John Marshall.
Yep. Thanks for having me on tonight, and some great information shared, especially this airbrushing. I don't really know much about airbrushing, so I'm learning a few things. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow night we can talk about that.
Hell yeah.
On the Tank RC, we can talk about airbrushing.
There you go.
The other John.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks for having me. It was very informative, like JMH said. See you on the next one.
Angry Yank.
Good to see everybody again. Laid some info on you guys. If I confused you all, just beat my ass later or leave some hateful comments on my videos. And hey, I won't mind all the info. Hey, a watch is a watch. It doesn't matter to me. It's good to see you all though, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Tank.
Thanks for putting the link there for the invite. I really appreciate it. Like that, anybody can jump in. awesome. And thanks for doing this. It's always fun to hang out with you guys. And until then, charge up some batteries, go out there and have some fun and break something. Because if you're not breaking anything, you're not having any fun.
And my co-host, Mr. Dividends.
Guru, I appreciate you doing this every Wednesday now. It's great to fill in for whatever void there is.
Yes.
Thanks everybody in the chat for stopping by. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on your way out if you haven't already hit it. And don't forget tomorrow night, got Tank RC with the Tank.
Yeah.
Friday night, we got Sean's Adventure RC. Saturday is JMH RC and RC Basher Boy, along with Sean's Adventure. Then Sunday, you got Kurt's RC. And we fall into Monday with Operation 11 Charlie. And then Tuesday, the Tank doing Tamaya Tuesdays. So check them all out. And hopefully we'll see you guys back here again tomorrow night for the Tank's RC Talk.
Cool.
All right.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Y'all, thank y'all. Y'all see y'all tomorrow.